In the 1970s, an extraordinary scene unfolded across parts of Europe. Thousands of chicken heads rained from the sky, baffling wildlife and delighting hungry foxes. But this was no bizarre weather event. It was a bold public health campaign. Each chicken head was laced with a vaccine, part of a desperate effort to halt the spread of rabies, a virus that has haunted humanity for millennia. Named after Lyssa, the ancient Greek spirit of mad rage, rabies is infamous for its ability to turn animals into frenzied attackers and humans into victims of terrifying neurological decline. Despite decades of scientific progress, rabies remains the deadliest virus known to humanity, claiming tens of thousands of lives each year. The fight against this ancient adversary continues, blending innovation, determination, and global cooperation in the hope of finally consigning rabies to history. Rabies is a disease with a history stretching back thousands of years, haunting both humans and animals alike. Its very name is rooted in mythology, inspired by Lyssa, the ancient Greek spirit of mad rage, who was believed to drive mortals and beasts into uncontrollable fury. Historical records show that rabies was recognized as far back as 4,000 years ago, with descriptions of its terrifying symptoms appearing in ancient texts from civilizations such as Mesopotamia and Greece. The disease's ability to turn gentle animals into aggressive attackers and humans into beings who feared water contributed to its fearsome reputation throughout history. Over centuries, rabies became woven into folklore and legend, symbolizing the unpredictable and dangerous forces of nature. This deep-rooted fear and fascination have persisted, shaping our understanding of the virus even in the modern era. The rabies virus is a remarkable example of biological simplicity and evolutionary efficiency. Composed of just 5 genes, it encodes only the essential proteins needed to invade a host, evade the immune system, and ensure its own transmission. Despite this minimal genetic toolkit, the virus is highly adept at infecting mammals, particularly by targeting nerve cells and traveling stealthily toward the brain. Its proteins allow it to bypass the body's usual immune defenses, remaining largely undetected as it multiplies. Once established in the nervous system, the virus manipulates both host behavior and physiology to maximize its chances of spreading to new hosts. This streamlined genetic design has enabled rabies to persist for thousands of years, making it one of the most successful and deadly viruses known to humanity. Rabies infection typically begins with a bite from an infected animal, most often a dog, which introduces the virus-laden saliva deep into the victim's tissue. The rabies virus targets nerve cells, or neurons, binding to their receptors and slipping inside. Once inside a neuron, the virus faces the challenge of reaching the cell's machinery, which can be located far from the entry point. To solve this, the virus hijacks the cell's internal transport system, using motor proteins to travel along microtubule tracks toward the nucleus. Unlike many other viruses, rabies remains largely undetected by the immune system during this phase, as it blocks the production of interferons that would normally alert the body to infection. The virus slowly moves from neuron to neuron, making its way toward the brain over the course of weeks or even months. This stealthy journey allows rabies to evade early immune responses and establish a potentially fatal infection. Rabies is a master of stealth and subterfuge within the body. Once introduced through a bite, the virus targets nerve cells, or neurons, and binds to their receptors to gain entry. Inside, it cleverly hijacks the cell's internal transport system, using microtubules and specialized motor proteins to travel toward the nucleus where it can replicate. Unlike many other viruses, rabies avoids triggering alarm signals by blocking the production of interferons, the proteins that would normally alert the immune system to an infection. This allows the virus to remain virtually invisible as it slowly moves from neuron to neuron, making its way toward the brain. By not killing its host cells outright and suppressing immune responses, rabies ensures its own survival and continued spread within the nervous system, all while evading the body's natural defenses. When rabies enters the body, it employs a series of sophisticated tactics to evade detection by the immune system. Unlike many other viruses, rabies targets nerve cells or neurons, which are less equipped to alert the immune system of an invasion. The virus blocks the production of interferons, crucial proteins that normally signal the presence of infection and help activate antiviral defenses. By doing this, rabies remains largely invisible as it travels slowly along nerve pathways toward the brain. Even when the immune system eventually detects something amiss, the virus manipulates infected neurons to send signals that cause attacking immune cells to self-destruct. This unique strategy allows rabies to persist and spread within the nervous system, making it exceptionally difficult for the body to mount an effective defense before the disease becomes fatal. When rabies finally reaches the brainstem, the outcome is almost always fatal. This critical region controls essential functions like breathing and heart rate, so any disruption can quickly lead to organ failure. Strikingly, the brain tissue of rabies patients often shows little to no visible damage, which has puzzled scientists for decades. Instead of destroying cells outright, the virus appears to disrupt the intricate communication between neurons, causing confusion, aggression, paralysis, and ultimately, the breakdown of vital bodily functions. The precise mechanisms behind rabies-induced death remain mysterious, but it is clear that once symptoms appear and the brainstem is involved, survival is exceedingly rare. This makes early intervention and vaccination crucial in preventing the disease from reaching this devastating stage. As rabies infection reaches its final stages, the virus begins a remarkable journey from the brain back down the nerves to the salivary glands. This migration ensures that the saliva becomes saturated with infectious virus, primed to spread through a bite. Meanwhile, the brain suffers increasing dysfunction, leading to severe neurological symptoms such as confusion, agitation, paralysis, and eventually, coma. Swelling of the brain, known as encephalitis, rapidly progresses, causing organ systems to fail, one after another. At this point, there is no effective treatment, and death is almost inevitable once symptoms have appeared. The process is both swift and devastating, underscoring the lethal nature of rabies and the importance of prevention. The rabies vaccine stands out among vaccines for its remarkable ability to protect individuals even after they have been exposed to the virus. Unlike most diseases, where vaccination must occur before contact, rabies progresses so slowly that post-exposure vaccination can still prompt the immune system to mount an effective defense. This window of opportunity is crucial as it allows for life-saving intervention after a bite or scratch from a potentially infected animal. Without vaccination, rabies is almost universally fatal once symptoms appear. The vaccine not only prevents the onset of this deadly disease, but also plays a vital role in breaking the cycle of transmission. Widespread vaccination, both in humans after exposure and in animals before outbreaks, remains the cornerstone of rabies prevention and control. Rabies continues to cast a long shadow across the globe, claiming tens of thousands of lives each year, particularly in regions with limited access to vaccines and healthcare. Despite the availability of effective prevention, the disease remains deeply entrenched in many communities, especially in Africa and Asia. Efforts to eliminate rabies face significant hurdles, from reaching remote populations to controlling stray animal populations and ensuring sustained funding for vaccination campaigns. Yet, there is hope on the horizon. Global initiatives, such as the World Health Organization's 0 by 30 strategy, are driving coordinated action and innovation. Success stories from regions like the Americas, where human rabies cases have plummeted, demonstrate what is possible with persistent effort. The path to eradication is challenging, but with continued collaboration and commitment, a future free from rabies is within reach.